Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for watching SMART24 TV, where we drive your business. Remember, SMART24 TV is dedicated to providing you with business content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, Financial Markets is a show that brings you an opportunity to get to learn, to get to explore into investments in the financial market space globally, regionally, as well as locally here in Uganda, and spot some of the gaps in the market and get to explore them and how we can put them to our advantage and get into the market and get to use our savings to get a return. Now, we have talked about largely the Uganda Stock Exchange and how we had our performance yesterday. Remember, on the Uganda Stock Exchange, we have 18 companies. 10 of these are domestic, or rather domestically listed, and 8 of them are cross-listed from mainly Nairobi Stock Exchange. The market has been in existence for the past 25 years, and we've had several companies list, and especially when you look at the local companies as well as the regional companies, KCB, you've seen Kenya Airways, you've seen Stanbic, and the most recent IPO, which was that of MTN Uganda. And so these companies have come together, of course, to an exchange to be able to get capital. That's why we call them capital markets, so that these companies can get capital from the public. And how does the public benefit from this? Definitely the public gets to have ownership or buy shares into these companies, and these companies get to pay the public in different ways, which we can discuss at length as well. Definitely, if you want to get to understand more of these financial markets, you must be able to stay tuned on SMART24 TV and get to learn more. We bring you sometimes, of course, experts from different stakeholders in the markets to give you a little outside information and to get to know what's really happening on the current trends and get to analyze some of the reports here at SMART24 TV. The show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange, bringing you different bonds across East Africa, that is across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, of course, issued at your favorable interest rates. Of course, the rates now are on the secondary market. As of course you understand, we always have a primary and a secondary market of trading. And Altex is a dealer in the secondary markets. So if you either want to buy or sell a treasury bond note which you bought or which you want to actually extend and get to buy more, you can come to Altex East Africa with as little as 15,000. You don't need 100,000, not really. With as little as 15,000 and be able to purchase yourself some of those very good instruments there. Now, let's get back to the stock market. As I mentioned already, we had a kind of mediocre or average performance on the stock market, with mainly the cross listings having the top gaining positions and the losing positions. However, in the top movers, we had a surprise coming in from National Insurance Corporation. Now, NIC, National Insurance Corporation, has been listed on the exchange currently since we, of course, had the exchange coming 1997, 97. And the National Insurance Corporation was one of the first insurance companies to be able to list on the exchange. We have several others like Jubilee that are coming in, that came in later after, of course, cross-listing from Nairobi. But National Insurance really was one of those companies that actually made it on the exchange in the first place. And currently they have about 7.2 billion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization. For starters, market capitalization is actually the current share price multiplied by the shares outstanding, or shares that are floated by the company on the exchange. Currently, this makes it the 17th most valuable, meaning it still has a very small margin of the entire market, and it represents about 0.033% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market here. Currently, the company has a 5.1 shillings price, which is the lowest price you can find on the exchange. We have companies like Cipla at about, about 70 and 69 sometimes. We also have companies like Stanbic Bank at 21 shillings, but still National Insurance Corporation beats all companies when it comes to affordability of stock, with a price of just 5.1 Ugandan shillings. When you look at how they treat their shareholders this year, after declaring their annual results, they were able to issue a bonus issue. They didn't have a dividend as we might have it in most companies. They did have, however, a bonus issue. Now, in this bonus issue, they issued rather quite many shares free of charge, absolutely free of charge to their current shareholders, and these shares were given out during the ringing of the bell as the company was, of course, announcing its financial results, which were also quite good when you look at their revenue and as well as profit. Currently, the company has about 1.42 billion shares that are outstanding. And when you look at their annual performance as well as weekly performance, well, weekly performance hasn't been that good for the company, as the company has lost some value on their 4 weeks performance. That's in the month of October, as well as in their 3 months and in their 6 months. And here, particularly speaking about the 4 weeks, they have lost about 12.1% from an average of about 6 Ugandan shillings, 5.96 Ugandan shillings to 5.1 currently, as well as on their 3 months performance. The company has the 6th most traded stock, however, when it comes to trading. Yes, well, because of affordability of the stock, we realize many investors still find nothing much to lose sometimes when you invest in some of these stocks, but still they can buy huge volumes at very affordable prices. So we see this activity probably attributable to that as well. A total volume of about 1.57 million shares has been traded on the market at about 8.35 million shillings in the last 3 months, dating way back in August, from the 2nd of August to the 31st of October, exactly 3 months ago. And so these are some of the statistics that show us the market activity of the National Insurance Corporation. When you look at the intensity of or the frequency of their trades, they had trade on the 31st, obviously. That's why we're talking about them. And they were the biggest trader at 48,000. However, the price wasn't changed. It was maintained at 5.10 Ugandan shillings. The last day they had trading, besides the 31st, was on the 19th of October, where they had about 960,200 shares that were traded, still maintaining their share price at 5.10 Ugandan shillings. They also had trade on the 14th, on the 6th, on the 31st of August, and you can see a little scatter in their trading, not that intense trading or kind of that daily activity putting up a steady fight every single day, but you can see a little bit of scattered trading as well on the company here at the Uganda Stock Exchange, but still maintaining a price above 5 Ugandan shillings. They declined from 5.8 back in June, in the month of rather August, September, to 5.10 as their current price. Considering other, for example, insurance companies like Jubilee Holdings, Jubilee Holdings still has a bigger capitalization. Of course, that can be attributed to their bigger share price of 7,000, over 7,200. But still, when it comes to trading and intensity, they haven't put a good show. Still, in Insurance Corporation or National Insurance Corporation, NIC comes in a much better position as well. Even in the year-to-date performance, still the company is doing pretty much better than its counterpart there on the stock exchange. So would you invest in National Insurance Corporation? Absolutely, yes. It's a company with promising growth and also a company that is very affordable. So you don't have much to lose. Let's say things don't go okay. Yes, still you don't have very much to lose and you have a lot to gain if things go right. And that's always the thing that many investors should understand here on the show. Where you have a lot to lose, definitely you have a lot to gain as well if things go well. And so that's kind of the paradox here, which you must be able to solve by yourself and make a choice at the end of the day. But National Insurance Corporation is definitely one of the companies I would say you can buy stock into there. That was it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. Looking at the trading volumes here, the total shares we had about 133,000 and the total market value of over 9.5 million. Compared with the previous day, of course, this was a decline in volume, about definitely because of what's happening in the economy. Remember, the stock market is like a picture of what's happening in the economy. It's the face of the economy, especially in big economies. But as well here in Uganda, you can tell that the economy is not actually healthy. You can tell that people are still struggling with inflation. They're still struggling to get by on their daily expenditures. And that definitely is harming how they are investing in the stock market as well. Well, let's put aside the Uganda Stock Exchange and cross over to Nairobi. Now, Nairobi is the biggest stock exchange in East Africa and, of course, the oldest as well in the region, dating way back in 1954. Currently, it has 65 companies that are listed on the stock exchange in Nairobi. And amongst these 65, we have many that are cross-listed as well from Uganda, for example, Umeme, from Rwanda, like the Bank of Kigali, and the like. Yesterday, we had a contraction, a small contraction in the number of participants from 49 on Friday to 47. And so we still had a pretty much smaller number of companies there participating in the trades. However, the gainers were 17 and the bottom losers were 23. But the All-Share Index, which is the benchmark for performance of the companies that are listed, all the companies that are listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, improved by about 0.37 points, which was a 0.29% increase in price. Of course, Nairobi has better activity because more companies, better activity, more facilities, having also well-established, of course, investment strategies and different other things that we might not have the privilege to have here in Uganda. And looking at the top gainers here, we're seeing Captura Tea come back on top. Yes, you remember Captura Tea gains in the early month of October, early days of October. Yes, Captura Tea is still back with some gain here on the Nairobi Stock Exchange for the month of November, as we start the month of November. Now, Captura gained by about 6.48% and closed at about, let's see, we shall see the price there. But actually, Nairobi Business Ventures came ahead of Captura Tea, and NBV gained about, let's see, 8.99%, closing at 3.88 Kenyan shillings per share. Car and General Kenya also gained about 6.4% on its value, and Nation Media Group gained about 3.77% on its value, whereas on the losing side, we had Ever Ready East Africa come out last. Yes, unfortunately, with an end-of-day price depreciation of close to 6.85%, closing at 0.68 Kenyan shillings per share. Well, on the Kenyan market, they definitely have different market segments, and that's why you're seeing big companies, you're seeing small companies all come into this entire cocktail, but they definitely segment these companies into big, small, and medium-sized based on the main investment board, market board. Then they also have the alternate market segment, as well as the growth enterprise market segment for the small businesses that are coming up. And so that's why you see many of these companies, some of them are coming up, and usually those are the risky ones, but also usually those are the ones that can gain you crazy value on the market. But like I said, the higher the return, the higher the risk as well on the risk end. Bigger companies, well established, very clear records on the stock market, very small yields, right? But still, the risks are pretty much less or even up to zero because definitely these are well-established stocks. So don't be surprised when you hear some of the small companies there are coming in as top gainers and bottom losers on the other day. And so because of the volatility of small companies, definitely this should be entirely expected of the market. Bank of Kigali also lost some value on the markets yesterday at 5.6%. And Standard Group, which is Stanbic Bank here in Uganda, Standard Group also lost about 5.16% on their trades there. Longhorn Publishers lost about 4.62% on the stock market, and Safaricom, which is our biggest trader, came back as the biggest trade as well on this particular day of trading at a 2.76 million shares margin there on the stock exchange. And Ken General also came in as a top mover at 670,700 shares, whereas Kenya Power and Lighting Company at 496,200 shares, and KCB came in at a 369,800 shares volume. Regarding the performance of the NSE All Share Index, like I already mentioned, it moved upwards about 0.37 points, closing at 128.80 points. However, this is representing a one-week gain of 0.81%, and this is very, very important to note. The markets in Nairobi are gaining on a weekly basis, but still losing on a 4-week basis. In 4 weeks, they have lost about 0.17%. But in 1 week, in rather 4 weeks, in rather exactly 1 week ago, they had about 0.81% gained on their value. Year-to-date losses are still above 22%, strictly at 22.62% loss, still counting. And the other indexes, remember on the Nairobi exchange, we have 2 major indexes as well, besides the All Share Index. That is the NSE 20 and the NSE 25. The NSE 20 tracks the aggregate performance of the top 20, whereas the NSE 25 tracks the aggregate performance of the top 25 companies on the stock exchange via market capitalization as well. And the NSE 20 declined about 0.14%. However, the NSE 25 declined about, rather appreciated close to about 0.01%. Let's have a look at Nairobi Business Ventures, who was a top gainer here, and get a detailed outlook of their performance. Now, Nairobi Business Ventures, for those of you who may not know, is a shoe maker. It's a shoe and leather accessories retail chain operating under the brand name K-Shoe. Nairobi Business Ventures is listed on the NSE for quite some time and trades under the ticker symbol NBV. Currently, the company is the 35th most valuable on the stock exchange in Nairobi, with a total market capitalization of over 1.91 billion Kenyan shillings. And this represents about 0.095% of the entire equities market on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. The company yesterday gained close to 0.32 Kenyan shillings, closing at 3.88 Kenyan shillings. And this was after appreciating about 8.99%. The company's earnings per share grew by 1.395 Kenyan shillings, meaning every shareholder had about 1 Kenyan shillings added to their value. That is based on how many shares they have. The price to earnings ratio also appreciated to 2.78 there on the market. Currently, they have about 492 million shares that are outstanding, and their 4-week performance is in the green. Their 3 months performance is in the green, and the 6-month performance as well. However, their year-to-date loss is still quite a big one, but about 36% that has been lost on the market. But currently, this, of course, puts them in a disadvantage in terms of market performance. They have lost about 36% in their price valuation in year-to-date, which is the 60th on the NSE, which is, of course, amongst the worst in terms of year-to-date. However, the shareholders' fears can be allayed by the fact that the company has increased over 13% in stock price value since the 29th of September. That is in the month-to-date performance, which is the third best on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And this is where the stock exchange really gets very, very interesting. You don't look at one face of the exchange. You don't look at one face of the company and say, this company is really doing bad on the year-to-date, and so I should abandon it. No, look at its month-to-date. Look at its recent statistics. Does it give you hope? If it does, then definitely keep the share. Buy more if you're buying. Definitely, this company could promise you a profit in the near future. Of course, that is entirely uncertain, but still something you can take risk of, because there's nothing you will gain without taking a little bit of risk, and not too much, but still nothing comes out of nothing. So you must take that bold step and have faith, and take a leap of faith, and buy shares into such companies. And so NBV currently, still, when you look at the most valuable, most traded stocks, it is the 17th most traded on stock in the past 3 months, with a total of over 2.83 million shares that have been traded on the company in the last 3 months. That's NBV for you there from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Remember, you can buy stock in Nairobi right here in Uganda. You don't have to fly to Nairobi. You can do it here. Stockbrokers are there to help you. Stockbrokers make life easy. That's why they were brought on board. So you can visit some of them. They can be able to get you stock there if they are licensed to carry out trade in Kenya. Particularly, you have stock brokers like SBG, Crescent Capital, Dyer and Blair. All these have licenses in Nairobi, with their, of course, smaller groups there as well. So you can still get to buy some stock there. Remember, diversification is very important in terms of where you buy, in terms of what you buy, which sector you're buying in. Diversify. Try to not to put all your eggs in one basket. That's it. Definitely, ladies and gentlemen, from me and the team here at Financial Markets, remember to catch us every weekday, Monday to Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. And we will get you covered. Your financial markets definitely are important, and we want our markets here in East Africa to grow. And it starts with you and me getting to take the next bold step. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, stay tuned. More is coming at SMART24 TV. I'll catch you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye for now.